Hey gamers, Rob from ZborGaming here, and today we are looking at the FiNN LMG. This is the weapon guide for the new Season 5 Reloaded gun, and this thing is pretty interesting. It has a lot of new attachments to it, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what this gun offers us here. So, here's our base infographic for the FiNN. Now this is unlocked through doing a certain challenge. It has a max weapon level of 58, and I consider it an above average weapon. I wouldn't say it's a top tier game breaker, but it is a lot of fun. Now, in order to unlock this, you have to get one melee kill while using an LMG in 7 different matches. This is pretty easy to do, especially when it first came out. They had shoot the ship going, and so you can run around. I suggest putting, if you haven't got this done yet, a breacher device on, because the breacher device will allow you to one-hit melee kill someone, so it will make it a lot easier to complete this challenge. Camo requirements are standard across the LMG class. All the attachment unlock levels are listed up here. Now, as a reminder, if this is the first weapon guide you've seen of mine, all of my information, I also post a lot of these infographics on my website, which is in the bottom right hand corner down here, ZborGaming.com. So head on over there. I'll have a link in the description below where you can see some of these infographics. I don't put everything up there, but some of the key ones I do. Now these loadout suggestions here, I'll go into a lot more detail in these with these loadouts later in the video. I've got a chainsaw setup, a setup for Warzone, what I call my Deadeye setup, which is a low recoil, high accuracy setup, and a setup if you want to run it more as a assault rifle or SMG with that aggressive stealth. So I'll go through all the base stats here on the next slide. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this slide looks a little different than some of the other ones, partly because there are a lot of additional attachments we need to talk about for this weapon. But as far as base stats, this weapon will do 36 damage to the head at the closest range, which is 0 to 29 meters. Then 28 and 27 in stomach and limbs, it'll do 28, 22, and 21. So basically there is no headshot multiplier for this. It's the same as your upper torso chest shots. Which means it'll be a 3 to 4 shot kill to the upper torso and 4 to 5 shot kill to the lower torso. As far as bullet drop off ranges, so this is going to be 0 to 29, 29 to 44 and a half, and anything over 44 and a half, and I'll show you that drop off range chart a little bit later in the video here. Somewhat slow fire rate is 640 RPM. And not a super fast bullet velocity at 878 meters per second, but you can definitely speed that up with the long shot barrel. You can see that increases that bullet velocity 58% up to 1395 meters per second. And that definitely will help in Warzone hitting those targets at range. Time to kill, you'll see here later, it's probably average for the LMGs. They gave this weapon fairly high accuracy because you're going to need it. And you'll see why here a little later. Vertical recoil pattern, which is very good. Recoil is very easy to control on this weapon. Fairly fast movement speed for an LMG at 93.5. Strafe speed is a little slow at 42. Has 75 mag capacity with 75 in reserve. If you want to up that reserve, I suggest running with the AUG as a secondary and have the fully loaded perk on your AUG. That's what I do with the weapon. That's how I kit it out. I use the FiNN as my base and I use the AUG as my secondary. That way I get that extra ammo reserve. So this weapon is interesting because with the barrels, you have a base barrel and you also have an adverse barrel. And what the adverse barrel does is significantly increases the fire rate, but it decreases your damage range. So you lose about 33% on your damage range, but it takes that fire rate from 640 all the way up to 1000 RPM. So you can see the stats for the adverse over here. It also decreases your base damage. So where it was 36, 28, 27 to the head and chest, it's now 28, 27, 22. which means your upper torso is now a 4 to 5 shot kill and your lower is a 5 to 6 shot kill. It also decreases that bullet velocity. Bullet velocity was 878 meters per second before, it's 647 after, which means in Warzone your bullets are going to travel very slow. They're going to travel at half the speed as they would if you had that long shot barrel on. Again, I'm not going to go into a whole lot more detail on the barrels and the differences here. You can go ahead and take a look at this infographic on the website. I'll have it up there. It has several different ammos. One, a CT round, a 75 and 100. And really, it says it affects your ADS speed, but there's very little impact to it. Also, the movement speed isn't much, but they both have very heavy bullet velocity penalties and damage range penalties at 25%. So really, I don't recommend either of the CT rounds. I do highly recommend running the 100 round belt. It doesn't really impact your ADS speed, which it says here, and the movement speed isn't a whole lot difference, but you get those 25 extra rounds, which makes a huge impact. And then lastly, we have a very unique attachment on this weapon. It's the chainsaw stock. And what this does is it basically eliminates your ability to aim down sight. But you get a much faster sprint to fire speed, hip fire accuracy, and it increases your movement speed a little bit. And we do have some loadouts on that. One last thing I am going to mention is that the stopping power rounds on this weapon actually substantially help with your recoil reduction. It already has a great recoil pattern, but when you add the stopping power rounds, it helps it even more. So make sure that you put that on and utilize that anytime it's available. So if we move on here, now we take a look at some of the ADS speed, which attachments help. You can see here that the Harrier barrel, the tack laser, the no stock, and that really that CT 75 round belt gives you about a 1 frame. It's actually about a half frame improvement. Outside of that, everything else is going to increase your ADS speed. But if you put these various attachments on, do note that your recoil is going to go all over the place, especially if you put an adverse barrel on. You can see here that when it comes to recoil and accuracy, all of these barrels, especially the adverse ones, substantially impact your recoil control, and I'll show you those patterns here in a little bit. And I mean, it's a lot. So make sure to stick around and check that out. The no stock isn't too bad. You can see how much impact it has to your recoil in one of the next slides. On the whole, though, you can see this recoil pattern is pretty much straight vertical, which makes it very easy to control, though, which is good. And I'll show you a loadout here later, that Deadeye loadout I had, that really makes a substantial improvement to your recoil. So now if we go ahead and take a look at how these damages apply to the base barrels versus your adverse barrels, you can see here that using your base barrel in hardcore will be a 1 or 2 shot kill. The adverse factory barrel will be a 2 shot kill through hardcore. As far as multiplayer in Warzone, enemy with 100 health is going to be a 3 to 4 shot kill, like we mentioned, 4 to 5 shot kill. You can see your time to kill values here as well. Now, a fully armored enemy in Warzone with that 250 health, for your factory barrels will be a 7 to 9 shot kill, and for your adverse barrels will be a 9 to 12 shot kill. And this is going to be very hard in Warzone using the adverse barrel because your recoil is going to be all over the place. So unless you are right in their face, plan on dying. I don't really suggest using one of the adverse barrels in Warzone unless you are right up close and personal, and you're going to have to land a whole ton of those bullets. Time to kill, though, is about anywhere from 0.48 to 0.66 seconds. And you can see down here, I have the comparisons of all the barrel ranges. So these numbers will all apply at these particular ranges depending on which barrel you choose to run. So I know this is blurry, you can't really see it. I'll have this infographic up on the damage range comparison page of ZborGaming.com. But you can see here for the FiNN that you'll get that 3 to 4 shot kill up to right around 30 meters, that 29, and then it's going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill afterwards. Now, using the adverse barrels, you're starting at a 4 to 5 shot kill, moving to a 5 to 6 shot. And even over here, your time to kill values are not very competitive with some of the other LMGs in the game. The Bruin, the Holger, the M91. The Bruin has a 160 millisecond time to kill. The FiNN has a 188. The Holger has a 169 TTK. The M91 has a 182. All of these are faster than the FiNN. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have the best time to kill values amongst most of the LMGs. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at a video here where I'm going to show you how fast the FiNN ADS is, the recoil properties, the idle sway, and how fast it reloads. So here we're going to go ahead and check the ADS speed. So here you can see it doesn't really ADS super fast. You can see there's a lot of idle sway here. This thing's floating all over. Now you can see a very slow vertical recoil pattern, which is nice. If you are only shooting a couple rounds at a time, this is very easy to control. And you can see here quite a long reload time with this weapon. Again, it was around 7 seconds. So moving on here, you can see here is the pattern that was created based off of what I just showed you. You can see it was a pretty straight vertical pattern. I also went and did a 30 bullet test and then a 45 bullet test, so you can see, sort of get the magnitude of how much it's going to take if you shoot 30 bullets straight. Now you shouldn't be shooting 30 bullets straight to begin with, but on the whole it does have a very nice recoil pattern. And this was done at 25 meters with only the 3 times scope VLK optic. So again, here's that 30 bullet pattern, the base recoil, and now we're looking at the muzzle attachments here. So you've got the muzzle brake and the compensator. You can see the compensator does help about 30% when it comes to that vertical recoil control, and the muzzle brake gets rid of a little bit of that side to side, but on the whole it's not horrible. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the barrel attachments, what I did here is, in red is the base recoil pattern, and this is what I did was I shot 30 bullets for each of the barrels. So you can see here that the Pro Twist did actually get rid of a little bit of that first bullet kick. And you got a little bit of vertical recoil improvement here. You can see now the difference though in the adverse barrel. So again, this is 30 shots, this is 30 shots, and you have quite a substantial kick here when compared to the base barrels. Again, with the long shot barrel and the V8 Harrier, the VC8 Harrier actually. Again, you can see in every case the adverse barrel substantially affects that recoil pattern. You get a lot more side-to-side jump and a lot more vertical jump. Not to mention, you also lose about 30% on the damage ranges. So, if taking a look at the various underbarrel attachments here. Now again, the 30 shots puts you right around this point right here. And surprisingly, the Commando foregrip isn't too bad. And I find it interesting how some of these jump around a little bit. The Merc foregrip, you actually kick to the right. Now I will say the Merc foregrip, it was brought up a couple weeks ago that it gave you a movement speed increase of about 3% benefit. They recently nerfed that, and actually it's a 1% movement speed penalty now, and that is not mentioned anywhere in the description. It was never mentioned before, and I think it's pretty shady that the gamers find this out and then they go ahead and nerf it. But nonetheless, the Merc foregrip does not give you that extra movement speed boost now that it used to. On the whole though here, you can see that a lot of your underbarrel attachments will definitely help with some of that recoil control. So I recommend, a handful of these will definitely help you. Now, as far as the stocks, taking a look at the no stock, you can see here that base recoil pattern. You do get maybe a 20%, 30% worse recoil control when it comes to the no stock, but on the whole, it's not super horrible. Now taking a look at the XRK chainsaw. Like we said here, you don't actually, you aim down sight, but all it does is tighten up that hipfire reticle a little bit. You can see the difference here at 25 meters, what type of spread you get on your ADS versus, well, actually hip firing versus your ADS. It looks to actually narrow the pattern side to side a little bit. But from a vertical standpoint, it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of an impact. So ADSing will actually help a little more with the side-to-side control than with your vertical control. On the whole, this is a really fun attachment to use though. So I definitely recommend throwing a loadout together. You'll have a lot of fun with it. So talking about loadouts, these are the loadouts that we had earlier. You can see here, this is your pattern for the chainsaw loadout. Again, it's pretty spread side to side, but it goes straight vertical here. And you really don't want to be challenging people at 25 meters with this loadout. You want to be much more up close and personal. The Warzone loadout. This is a great recoil pattern, but again, you're going to need some of those extra bullets. But on the whole, the monolithic suppressor, the XRK long shot, your tack laser, the VLK optic, and that 100 round belt. The suppressor and the long shot will definitely help with that long target acquisition. Definitely helps with that bullet velocity. And the recoil is super manageable. So if you're going to use this in Warzone, I highly recommend checking this loadout out. The aggressive stealth loadout, you can see the the recoil patterns all over the place, but it is nice and vertical. And this again is going to be more up close and personal. With that adverse barrel, you're going to be ripping rounds off really fast. But again, keep in mind, you want to be up close and personal. In this loadout 4, I've only got about 10 or 12 dots on here, but that's 30 rounds. So you can see this thing is super, super accurate. That has the compensator, the long shot barrel, commando foregrip. I really like the Cronin C480 optic as well as the VLK 3.0. Again, your optic is your choice. And then the XRK Citadel, that helps with some of that aim stability. So taking a look at some of these builds, just again, this is that chainsaw build, and I'll have these various loadouts on the website as well that you can click at, look at. The Warzone build, here you have that monolithic suppressor, the long shot, tack laser. Again, you can pick which optic you want. I really like the 3x optics. And then you've got that 100 round belt. Here we have that aggressive stealth build, the no stock, monolithic suppressor to keep you off the radar, and then that factory adverse to really help speed up your bullets. And then lastly, this is probably my favorite build here. I like running low recoil, high accuracy builds. So the compensator with commando foregrip, that Citadel stock with the aim stability, and then that long shot to really get that extra bullet velocity and damage range. So hey, that's what I had today for the FiNN. I really appreciate you guys watching. The chainsaw loadout I have is very similar to this Firewall Legendary Blueprint. The only difference is in the adverse barrel, I use the Pro Twist. They have the long shot. Not a huge difference there. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And I've got a couple more weapon guides coming out soon. The AN94. I'm still working on the SCAR. But with that, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day.